Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cyber Planet. My name is Karim Chata, and I am your host. Today, we have a very special guest. He's a cybersecurity expert from Kenya. He is a board member, lecturer, founder, husband, and a father. I mean, what title doesn't this guy have? And his name is Bright Gameli. Dr. Bright, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You have a lot of titles, my brother.
Way too much.
So, Dr. Bright, can you please tell us about yourself?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me for this podcast. It's a great honor knowing how far we've gone back. So my name is Bright Gameli Maudo. I wear many hats. I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I currently work at a company called Crystal Blockchain Intelligence, where we basically break down everything in the blockchain, in the blockchain space or the Web3 space, tracking down criminals in the cyber in the blockchain entities, and we also basically get to understand where money is moving and the like. And obviously, we do training for people to understand what blockchain intelligence is all about. For law enforcement, investigators, compliance officers, all of those kind of people, right? I also run a company called CyberGuard Africa, where I do consultancy once in a while for people who want cybersecurity services. Then I also run Africa Hackon. It's a nonprofit trying to encourage and share people in the space how we can be able basically teach people, a lot of people in the cybersecurity space. That has been running for about 10 years now. And so far, it's been great. I think it was through that forum that we got to meet some time back. Yeah. Then also, I run a small ed tech called Intimata. Basically, I'm a lazy person. So when I say lazy, I don't like marking exams because I'm a lecturer as well at Strathmore. I teach about five cybersecurity courses at Strathmore every cohort, which is every other month. So Intimata basically helps you to set exams and also automatically get to mark the exams. So making teachers to upgrade their ways of thinking when it comes to setting of exams. So we have an exam bank of more than 20,000 questions, which we use basically to, to basically say how we can basically get teachers to start rethinking of how they teach students. Yeah, so those are the things. I'm part of a board, a couple of board of cyber threat intelligence for EC Council, the famous EC Council. Also a few advisory group board for Ushahidi. Ushahidi is where a lot of my life started actually in the deeper corporate world. So I'm happy to be able to be back there. Then you're giving back to that. And a few others that I do, a few other consultancy, which they're just too many. They once in a while they come and so that's technically about me. But I'm also a lover of martial arts, kung fu to be specific. And as you said, a father of two. I love my kids. Married legally. There's a people who are married but not married. Some guys are married, but they're married by mouth, not by paper.
Not by paper.
Right. So I'm legally married, and that's basically who I am. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is an interesting question that I have for you. So how do you get started into cybersecurity? Because we all understand that there are different ways where people get into cybersecurity, but for you specifically, how did you get into the industry?
Well, so my interest started when I was pretty young. Started with a bit of programming when I was a kid, 6, 7 years old, trying to create viruses and everything. So I was always thinking like a bad guy until that's when I was in Ghana. But I come from Ghana, just that I've been living in Kenya for like 21 years now. So doing all of those is when coming to Kenya, I thought I'd become a software engineer. That was my dream and everything. Then later, I'm like, man, just creating programs, taking 6 months to do it is boring. It can take a few hours to break it. So why not just think about breaking it rather than just creating? So that's a kind of a thing. So I got into
Yeah.
cybersecurity, bit of it when I started high school in St. Mary's. Later, when I got to university, is when it intensified because I hacked the school
Mm.
network. Um,
Yeah.
for the heck of it, I was trying to learn how to do things, and my interest got a little bit, you know, solidified there. So from there on, I've just been doing anything and everything cybersecurity all the way to my first job, and until now, I'm always in the cyberspace, but different realms.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you one particular question. It's a little bit off what I wanted to ask you, but a lot of people call you doctor, 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 including me anyway. So
Yeah.
are you a doctor by profession, or what does the title stand for?
So, let me tell you something. I got a PhD in cybersecurity by mistake. So my first official job was at Cellulant back in 2011.
Yeah,
I worked for 2 years and then I went to South Korea. When I
yeah,
went to South Korea, basically, I did my master's and I did my master's in 2 years. Instead of doing 24 credits, I ended up doing 42 credits. So I
yeah,
was basically just, you know, going through any class and everything. And that was advanced information science and technology, but the focus for me was cybersecurity. So I
yeah,
was even given funding. I was given about $40,000 to come do a research in Kenya about creating the right banking system for the financial sector. So I did a
yeah,
lot of research about that. Then so I was writing so many papers. I published around that time. I published, I think, almost 7 or 8 journals. If you check my Google Scholar, you'll basically find
yeah,
it out there. And then later I'm like, so I finished everything. I came back to Kenya, and my dad is like, "Yo, you have to go back and finish." Finish what? Like, how? I'm 26 years old. Like, people do PhD when they're 50. That was
yeah,
my
true.
mentality. But then later I started doing research and I realized in Korea, the average age, like there's a town, yeah. There's one
Yeah,
town where almost maybe approximately 50% of adults I'm talking about 25 and above,
yeah.
have a PhD. They all
Oh,
have a
wow.
PhD. Yeah, so it was really encouraging. And then a friend of mine was telling me, like, look, he just turned 25. He just finished his PhD at 25. So what am I talking about starting at 26? It doesn't make sense. And I said, "Oh, look, so I had to call back people to return my stuff that I sold to them, which I bought at a higher price."
Interesting. Yeah.
Went for the PhD. Instead of doing 36 credits, they reduced mine to 30. And those 30
Oh,
credits,
yeah.
I was supposed to do a maximum of only 6 credits a semester. So that was going to take me quite a long time to finish. But I ended up doing 10, 10, 10. But funny enough, I was used to the Kenyan system of doing 18 hours of classes a week. You get. So
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
10
definitely.
10 was not too much for me. The only difficult part is you have to write a lot of journals. You have to present at conferences what you've written. You have to present
Yeah,
that's technical paper, not essays, not newspaper articles,
uh,
technical papers. So you have to do a
yeah.
lot of research. And
Mm,
it was quite intense because the 2 extra years that I did my PhD, because I finished at 28, was something
yeah,
else. Imagine every week, Karim, you have to bring a new topic to the faculty and explain to everybody what you've read new every week.
yeah. Okay, that's hectic.
And it's hectic. When you're finishing your master's, you have to repeat 3 exams you've passed before and have to do it again in one sitting. PhD, it was 5. So I have to
Yeah,
repeat 5 exams. I knew I had passed. I was a straight A student. And
yeah.
then now had to repeat those 5 exams in one sitting for like almost 5, 6 hours. It
Uh,
was hectic. So that's how the
yeah.
PhD came out. Yeah.
That's a very interesting story.
Thank you.
So, you got into cybersecurity later on, your journey, and then along the way, you got involved into academia. So,
Yes.
what was the reason behind you getting involved into academia?
I'm a teacher. I'm I never used to be a speaker or teacher, but I think I got excited when I went to South Korea that teaching people and talking to people about what is in my head
Yeah.
became too interesting. And then you see, I like sharing what is in my head. I don't know how to keep it to myself. So that's why I believe in always sharing information, right?
Yeah.
So
Very
I
true.
actually Strathmore. It took me almost 2 years before they accepted me. It was a whole lot of back and forth and stuff like that.
Mm.
And at the time, Strathmore was the first university to start moving to the area of if you need to have a PhD before you can teach a master's. Because before it never
Oh
used to
yeah.
be like right now it's mandatory in the whole of Kenya. You have to have a PhD to teach a master's class. So there were not many
Okay.
of us. Right
Mm.
now, even a lot of lecturers are remote. And then now, right after I started in 2019, and then COVID happened. So I only went to physical class a few times. Like
Yeah.
thank you, and not thank you for COVID.
But thank
Um,
you for the opportunity.
yeah, and everything is just online. And then my classes are
Yeah.
very, very practical. I don't like theoretical classes where I'm giving you slides and everything. I
Yeah.
basically
Very
talk. So
important.
if you're not listening, you're not going to pass. If you don't read my links, you're not going to pass.
Yeah.
If you don't type the commands that I type, you're not going to pass.
You're not going to pass.
So it is, and it's a way I have taught many, many people in cybersecurity, right?
Yeah.
So I said basically, you know what the best way for me to teach people is to
Yeah.
make sure that I can just speak my mind. And so I've done 325 public presentations.
Wow.
Um, yeah, when it comes to cybersecurity, I keep on counting them. So out of the 325, that's what I've
Interesting.
learned myself. That's basically what got me into the lectureship kind of thing. And I also do guest
Yeah.
lectureship in universities, USIU. There's one I did in a
Yeah.
Canadian university. I can't remember which one. I think it was McGill. It
Yeah.
was McGill. Um, also did a few others in Ghana. Yeah,
Interesting.
so I basically like speaking my mind. I think that's where the world has to be. If we don't share
Yeah.
information, we'll never ever be able to get to know um a lot more. So
Yeah.
that's basically my philosophy about teaching.
No, which
Yeah,
is very true because like even when I reflect back in the days when I went to do my MSc, most
yeah,
of our courses were taught practically. If you don't know how to do it, if you just cram things, then you'll never
yeah.
pass your exams. Because at the end of the day, the exams was you're given a box for you to hack, you know. So I think
Wow.
a lot of universities need to change their approach in terms of academia to the way you're approaching things. That would be much better to have more experienced cybersecurity experts.
Yeah.
Now, to the next question. We mentioned that you are a founder of Africa Hackon. So
Yes.
how did Africa Hackon became to be? Because I found out about Africa Hackon, I think it was back in 2019 when I was fresh from uni, finished my master's, still naive. And while I was going through online, I stumbled upon Africa Hackon and the free training which you guys were offering. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to,
So,
try to understand how did Africa Hackon come to be?
so before I left Cellulant, there's a
Yeah,
guy I was talking to called Lesia Nganga. People call him Gav.
yeah,
So Gav and I started talking. He was still just finishing school at the time.
yeah,
And chit chat. Well, like when I was leaving, I told him, "Can you come to replace me at Cellulant?" And he's like, "Yeah, why not?" Um, and he came and
interesting.
he's very very smart guy. Came and took over everything. I was just
Yeah,
um everything forward. So when I was basically in how to call it when I was in Korea, he said, "Why don't we get to you know start something
yeah,
about cybersecurity?" I wanted to go to
mm,
DEF CON
yeah,
in the US, but I'm
mm,
like, I can't go. I don't have money to travel at the time. Why don't we
yeah,
have something in Kenya? So Gav and I started a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp group started very small. We basically started very small, just trying to
Yeah.
see who can we get in. So we basically just started,
Mm.
um, we basically started thinking about the names of what we can call it. And we're like, we had a lot of names for it until we landed on Africa Hackon. We're like, we need to hack, we need to keep hacking on
Yeah.
until we get to let people understand exactly what Africa Hackon really
Is all
means.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was how we started it off. It all started from that. So since
Yeah.
2013, we've been on hitting the ground running, trying
Yeah.
to make sure we can how to call it, get people to understand what it really means to be in the cybersecurity space. And we wanted to
Yeah.
create what we call the ripple effect. The ripple effect is basically if I can teach you and you can teach another person, and that
Yeah.
person also gets really good to teach another person. And
Yeah.
that's the only way to grow a community. Because Africa Hackon, we're not making
Mm.
any money. We just wanted to make sure we can give people the opportunity to be able to think
Yeah.
cyber-wise. And if we can teach
Mm.
the young generation cybersecurity, they will take it to how
Next
to call it,
levels.
the next step, the next cohort, or take it to the next step, or the
Yeah.
organizations they go, and we don't have to train too many people officially. So that's how Africa
Yeah.
Hackon started. And it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
We basically we don't have we don't have money, we don't have funds, but everything that any little money we get from some donors and a few sponsors, we basically get to launch
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so, as a founder, what are some of the challenges that you have faced throughout 2013 up to now, throughout the years?
It's difficult running when it gets to a point people drop off. They don't support you
Yeah.
anymore. Not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody in the same mindset as we started.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
beginning, people are vibrant about it, and
Mm.
now got to the point, um, you don't get that anymore. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Either you have to find new people or
Yeah.
find new how to call it, new ways of getting this done. So that's how we
Yeah.
basically have been going. And a lot of people have stopped. They don't want to continue the same vision that we started. And then you
Mm.
have to walk away. So that became quite difficult because now you're the only person who's trying to do all the things when it comes to movement of how to call it, looking for funds, looking for people to help
Yeah.
you. It's just difficult.
Mm.
That was the major challenge. That's the major challenge that I've ever had
Yeah.
because of this. So yeah, otherwise,
Everything has
it's
been great.
everything has been great. But sometimes you get to a point you just
Yeah.
basically shut down. You basically have to start rethinking. Do I really have to do this? Like,
Yeah. True.
do I really have to continue this? But again, you remember um you have a mission, and the mission
Yeah.
is
Why you started?
why did I start? Why did
Mm.
I'm trying to get a lot more people to become like me and better than me. And I'm
Yeah.
happy that people are better than me right now. So
Mm.
it really gets me going. Yeah.
That
It really gets
that's
me going.
interesting, and I agree with you with majority of the points that you've just mentioned, because I myself have founded different initiatives, so I totally understand the stigma around it.
Yeah.
So to the next question. So
Yep.
Dr. Bright, I had mentioned initially that you're a husband, you're a father, you're a founder, you're a cybersecurity expert, etc. All these titles. So
Yeah.
how do you balance everything with your family? It's a struggle, because even I myself, I'm struggling just to balance myself with my friends. So how do you do all that your friends, your family, your kids are also demanding of you. You know,
Yeah.
I think if you get some pointers for you, one day I'm gonna be a great father like you.
Oh, man, it's not been easy, Karim. I would not lie to you. It's been hard. It's been really, really difficult. So basically, my major thing is, first of all, I have a very supportive wife. She
Okay.
tolerates of my movement of things and everything. She actually is part of she runs my cybersecurity consultancy. So
Oh
she knows
wow.
when,
Okay.
yeah, I know
Mm,
it's not
mm.
easy to do husband-wife kind of a business, but
Yeah.
she basically runs operations at the company, so I don't have to think about who to do what and everything.
Yeah.
So basically I delegate. So I delegate, so I'm not fully involved. Like my 9 to 5 is where I'm fully, my full attention is because
Yeah.
it's a really important job. Then the
Mm,
other bit of things is that all the other kind of initiatives, I have a few people who get to help me. One of my friends called Fraser, there's Eric, there's Jackie. They're all good in their
yeah.
domains. So I basically work with them to to um how do you call it, just to
Assist
balance,
you.
to assist me.
Yeah.
But one thing that I like doing is I like to write things down. So I write things down in terms of this is where we are, this is what we're supposed to do, and
Yeah.
basically, um, we organize stuff. So I like organizing
Okay.
myself where things of time. So I don't like doing random things. I also
Yeah.
got to learn to say no, because that's one of the difficult things people have. Yeah, people
Yeah.
think uh, you should accept everything,
Yeah. True.
which is not the best way to do it. So
Yeah.
I basically learned to say no to a few things. I can't be everywhere. And also I
Yeah.
like to give people the chance to do other things. So
Yeah.
the fact that I let people also take charge and I push other people to take part in how do you call it? In the space frees me
Yeah.
up, right?
Mm,
Otherwise, that means I have to be in meetings until I don't know when, which
yeah.
doesn't which doesn't make sense. So I
Yeah.
basically try to make sure when do I have to move things, um, when do I have to say no,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
when do I have to basically just
Delegate.
allow myself to breathe as well, you know.
Mm,
Yeah, so
interesting.
that's basically that has been my way of doing things. Because I can
Mm,
get tired. I get really exhausted sometimes, and I'm like, do I really have to do
yeah.
this? And sometimes people, and people think when you're trying to do when you're try to achieve a few things, you
Yeah.
think you want money for yourself. So you get a project. If you think you do it all by yourself to stay with all the money, it's not going to work, right?
Yeah. True. True.
So basically, my thing is delegate to a few people, subcontract people when you have to,
Yeah.
push a few opportunities such as speaking events, and I've done enough already. I don't
Yeah.
need to be. So I
Yeah.
let people, just take charge and do things. Yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. So you've mentioned a lot of points, but I think the most important one that I've picked up
yeah,
is a supportive wife. I think I'll carry that with me along the way while I'm looking for a partner myself.
yeah. If you don't get somebody who understands you, oh man, you're going to have a hard time. You will have a
I
hard
know,
time.
I know.
Yeah.
So, following that question, I'd like to understand how do you usually stay up to date with the latest developments and trends in cybersecurity? Like, for example, recently we know a new CVE has just popped up of the SSH vulnerability, and things like that. So, as for you and all the titles I've mentioned and everything that you do, how do you stay up to date with the recent, development and trends in cybersecurity?
So basically, there's a lot that is going on. So I subscribe to a lot of news feeds. I follow so many people on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I have a very bad habit of waking up at 3 in the morning just to read tweets. Um, I know
Okay.
it's a very bad habit, or that, or when I'm waiting in a waiting area or somewhere that I'm jobless or
Yeah.
my mind is settled. I
Yeah.
basically just read in tweets and just to see what are people thinking about, what are they talking about. I am in part of
Yeah.
the Telegram groups, so I'm trying to see what is new, what are people doing. Like it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Um, and then
Yeah.
also a few news feed which comes to my emails, a few of them.
Yeah.
A place that I read a lot of things is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so powerful. So, the algorithm
Yeah. True.
automatically puts the right content and everything.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so basically that is where I usually pick up a lot of those details from. I
Yeah.
should say. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram groups, and of
And then
course
emails.
the emails. But one of the best ways to learn is from my
Yeah.
colleagues. Or some of the guys that I've taught
Okay.
when we're in a few WhatsApp groups, and then I tell them, hey, they're not even the ones that we see that there are many people. It's a smaller WhatsApp groups of like 10 max people. If they're teaching you something,
Yeah.
man, when you see the fact that they are really, they're really learned, and they basically just make your life easier, by say, oh,
Yeah.
we do ABCD. For example, I thought there's a guy I taught how to do mobile application security years back.
Yeah.
Uh, and I taught him how to use Mercury and Droza back then. This
Yeah.
guy became so good, like he became better than me. And when I joined Cellular, the guy became my
Yeah.
teacher. And I'm like, it's amazing. So, and
Yeah.
for me, it makes my life easier. I don't have to read everything anymore.
Yeah. True.
So instead of
That's
spending
very true.
instead of spending 5, 6 hours reading a particular topic, this guy will come
Yeah.
teach me everything in a go. My youngest mentee is called Mike Chesang. Mike is 19 years old.
Yeah.
I started teaching Mike when I was 11. Now Mike can do things
Yeah.
that I can't do. He's faster.
Mm.
He even teaches in some of my master's classes. Yet he's doing his
Reason
diploma.
behind he's still young.
He's still young. The guy's
His
doing
head is
diploma.
sharp.
He's so bored doing his diploma, but he comes to my master's class and schools people properly. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, so that's
Interesting.
basically.
Yeah. Interesting. So, doctor, there's one particular area that I've always been interested in,
Yes.
and this area is in the area of being a board member in Company X. What are the responsibilities that comes along being a board member?
So being a board member, you're basically advising from an expertise point of view, right?
Okay.
So everybody's an expert in their domain, and they
Yeah.
basically want to share knowledge and what they understand and be able to contribute to the organization's how do you call it, strategy moving forward. So organizations always do a strategy every year, and they meet every quarter or mostly every quarter to decide on
Okay.
how the company should move forward. So in those discussions, you're like, what is good for the company? What can we do different? For example, I'm
Yeah.
part of the board of technical advisory board for Moringa School. And we always,
Okay.
whenever we meet, we discuss what we've seen in the market, what we think will be the profitable part of Moringa, what to change the communities when it comes to software developers. You
Yeah.
see that kind of thinking, right?
Yeah.
So that we do a lot of research and we basically bring our expertise. That is a good part of being a board member. However,
Yeah.
the flip side of things, not the flip side, but on the other part of things is also you get
Yeah.
access to people that you don't get access to, um, every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's some people you meet who are board members, and these are people you've been struggling to get access to for a long time. Here's the case
Yeah.
now, you have easy access and you can call in favors. They also know somebody who knows
Mm.
someone.
Yeah.
And that builds your net worth, your network and your net worth
Is your
of
network. Yeah.
it helps so much. It really, really helps. So
No.
that's where basically we are at
Yeah.
with things, yeah.
So, out of all your titles, let me just pick one, which
Yeah.
is being a founder. I think there is a need of more founders in different spaces in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the skills and qualifications are needed for a person who wants to be a founder?
Okay. So being a founder is basically meaning that you want to be a leader, right? There's
Yeah,
leadership, and then there's just being somebody who's trying to just drive business of things or
yeah,
to make money of things. I'm a founder in in two categories where one I'm not making money and the other one
yeah.
I'm making, right? So
Interesting.
but when you're a founder, you basically want to drive leadership among your people. You want to know how to delegate. You want to know how to grow the business
Yeah.
to a certain level. And that's what I have been doing for a while. So being a founder is basically knowing how do you think strategically? How do you
Okay.
think the future? How do you make sure that the right things are done in the right way? And also, how do
Yeah.
you fail forward? Failing forward, failing strategically. So if you fail,
Yeah.
you could fail in a lot of things. Um, how do you pick yourself up and be able to just move forward smoothly without it distorting? I mean, a founder is basically saying, if you stay away for a week, right,
Yeah.
2 weeks or 3 weeks, things are still
Okay.
moving. People don't need
Yeah. True.
keep on checking everything by you. Like, for example, when I do
Mhm.
cyber, I don't need to start checking proposals and checking documents, checking the
Yeah.
quality. Not every quality of things that I have to check
Yeah.
because my
True.
team has the capability of being able to do things without me. You know,
Yeah.
they can run with it. So that's the kind of things where founders need to be able to know how to do things. Yeah, that's the way to say it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have anything to do with let's say your degree or technical skills. It's just you to be a visionary person, for you to be a good leader and have good communication skills, if I'm getting you right, right?
I would say yes and no. Also, you see, I am I'm technically skilled when it comes to
Okay.
cybersecurity, but
Yeah.
I'm not technically skilled in all areas, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
my thing is to hire somebody who can do that part for me. I don't need to do
Yeah.
everything. I don't need to
True.
understand how I'm not the best forensic engineer. I understand
Yeah.
forensics, fine,
Yeah.
but I don't have to be a forensic engineer trying to interrogate everything, right?
Okay.
So you need to being a founder, you are trying to get the right people for the right job
Mm.
and know
Yeah.
how that's delivered. So
Mm.
you are more of a strategic thinker than trying to do the work itself. So
Okay.
um yeah, that's basically what I would say. So you sometimes in some of the kind of work you do, you will need to have that technical skills because there's a lot of talkers in this industry. People talk and
Yeah.
say they're good at this, they're good at that. But when it comes to delivery, you see mediocre work. I'll give a typical example. We had
Yeah.
there's a client who wanted a vulnerability assessment and a penetration test.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that I got who was part of the team to do the job at the time, a while
Yeah.
ago, he gave somebody else to do the job. So the person basically gave me a scan. You see, if
Mm.
I was not technically skilled, I would have said, okay, give
You would have been
me
okay
the
with it.
report. But I look at the report, I'm like, this is not yeah,
Yeah.
this is not your usual work. I know your work is really good. You basically run certain kind of tools, commands, and be able to get certain kind of hashes, and I don't know what. This is
Yeah.
basically a Nessa scan. I was so
And it's
mad. Yeah, you know.
yeah.
But basically, yeah. So I had to interject there. So I can skim through things, but that's also the part of when you start as a foundation. You don't get everything right. So
Mm.
those I had to teach him how to be able to delegate properly also in his domain, or if he wants to give somebody else to help
Yeah.
him do that, because he was overwhelmed. He was going through something I didn't know,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
How to talk to people, how to be able to manage situations, and how to even manage clients. All of those
Yeah.
kind of things. When I do that, I teach my other colleagues as well, so they can do the
Yeah.
same thing. And from there, as the team grows, it's become now easier. I don't have to start of all of those. So
Yeah.
that's what
True.
basically being a founder really means.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we've discussed previously, you mentioned that you're part of a board member.
Yeah.
Now, what advice would you give either to an individual or organizations looking to improve cybersecurity awareness and capabilities in Africa?
Um, I would say we just have to, we need to keep teaching each other. So when the conferences are happening, like when I do Africa Hackon, I don't like to do panel discussions or anything.
Yeah.
I wanted people to do live demonstration, teach other people, share resources. People don't like sharing. That's the most annoying thing. And I'm like, why not? You
Uh,
have so much in your head. You're
mm,
not going to keep it forever. People also need to stop hiding in the shadows. You can't keep
mm,
being so good at what you do and keep hiding, saying you can't be the best in hiding. You need
yeah.
to make sure that you can actually show other people. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can attest to that. If we don't share, we're never going to be able to bring things out or better the continent.
I can relate with something that you just mentioned right now about people don't like sharing. I think that's one huge problem that we have in this industry, because I remember I came across this individual. He's quite good in bug bounty, so I was kind of interested in getting into bug bounty and seeing how I can improve my web app skills. I started doing it at an individual level, and then later now I started looking out for help because it was kind of getting difficult. Like, hey, can you please help me with this? Then I asked the young man, can you please help me
Mm.
out with this? How do you approach targets? What do you look for, etc. The guy full blown out said, I myself am also learning. I don't know anything. While he's been getting bounties, we are seeing 2,000,
Wow.
1,000 USDs, you know.
Wow.
So it's a
Selfishness,
huge
but the
challenge.
selfishness will never help us.
I mean,
People become selfish it's not going to help the industry. We need to
yeah,
always keep sharing. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that because the more you share, the more people get to actually, um, the more they basically get to grow the space. And you also grow
yeah.
by just sharing. I don't know why people get so selfish. It doesn't make sense.
I,
It
I
doesn't.
don't, I don't, I don't have answers myself, but hopefully things are going to change in the long run. So, Dr. Bright, I don't
Yeah.
want to take much of your time. So, can you please give us your final thoughts? If you have any advice for our listeners, give us your final thoughts.
Being in the cybersecurity space means that we need a lot of collaboration. I'm talking about both private sector and government sector of things.
Yeah.
And even among our peers, we need to make sure that we can throw away one thing, ego. If we can throw ego out
Mm,
of the window and be able to just humble ourselves to know that we are all learners and we all can be teachers,
yeah.
that's the only way we can actually move forward. It doesn't matter if you're 50 years old and you know something. It doesn't matter if you're 19 or 20 or 18 years old. We just need to make sure that we can actually show people, but show people who have the intention of learning. There's other people who
Yeah.
come for spoon feeding. I hate that. I don't spoon feed. If you don't get to learn, if you don't get to try to be able to go do the bare minimum of reading ahead of time and be able to actually learn something, don't come to me.
Yeah.
So I always develop that culture of go read something, go learn something, then come back and let's talk. That's the only
Yeah.
way we can be able to make sure that you don't spoon feed somebody entirely. Because I get that in my DMs all the time. Oh, teach me how to hack.
Yeah.
Teach me how to hack. Teach me how to do this. And I'm like, you're here for the wrong reason. You don't want to
Yeah.
read. I've given people assignments, they don't come back. You
Yeah.
you don't have all the time to be able to be teaching people start things. So I
Yeah.
would
True.
say throw ego out of the window. Be ready to learn. Research when you can. Read when you can. Teach other people because it's faster, and also be
Yeah.
ready to give out. Yeah.
Well, those are very, very important pointers that you just mentioned here. And I think we should also try to, let me say, end the culture of spoon feeding. Because I remember
Yeah.
when I got into your group back in the days of Africa Hackon, I remember I asked a question, I think, and then Labu was like, Google is your friend.
Yep. Yep.
So
Google
through
is
that,
right.
I got to learn that there's no spoon feeding here.
Google is a friend.
Yeah,
So if we don't get to actually just go search a bit, I mean, there's so much information out there, a lot.
yeah, true.
Until we get to actually do this kind of research, we will
Yeah,
not be able to actually know how to be able to help ourselves. 'Cause no one can never
yeah,
teach you everything, you
yeah,
know.
true. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Bright, thank you very much. It's an honor to have you on this episode, and I
Thank you so
hope
much
we're
for having
going
me.
to cross paths again and have you over on other sessions so that we can have interesting talks, especially on blockchain. I think that's a
Sure.
very interesting area to venture.
Yeah, we sure can.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
All
much,
right.
and see you on the next episode. Hopefully, it's going to
Sure.
be soon.
It will be. Thanks so much.